Welcome back to Radio Row, talkSPORT's base ahead of Super Bowl 59, bringing you live in-stadium commentary from the Superdome on Sunday night from 10:30 p.m. on UK radio. But the big name guests just keep on coming. Pleasure to say I'm now joined by Las Vegas Raiders running back, Mr. Alexander Mattison. Alexander, thank you so much for joining me. How are you, my man? You well?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Talk to me a bit about being here this week in New Orleans. You're here with Soul Taco. You must be just lapping up this atmosphere. It's, so much buzz around Radio Row. Have you ever been to one of these things before?
Yeah. Throughout my career, I've been popping in and out to Radio Row, and it is beautiful chaos. I would say that.
Yes, that is some way to describe
it. It's awesome though. The atmosphere is amazing. You gotta love being in town when Super Bowl's going on. There's just so many different things going on, so many different opportunities. Just like this right now, sitting with you, man. This opportunity. So it's awesome.
We have a lot of UK fans for the NFL, people who stay up throughout the night watching these games. And look, I know being here as a player, you're going to feel like you would rather be on the other side at those media availabilities and doing that rather than being here in a way. But talk to me a bit about the Vegas Raiders and their season that's just gone. Obviously, new change coming this off-season. But how do you look back on last season? What are your reflections?
It was one of those years. It was tough. Dealing with different injuries. There's a bunch of different things that happened that, we could have had the opposite record, when you look at it in the grand scheme of where you wanted to be and where you ended up at. But I think, there's a bright future ahead. There's some changes that needed to be made, and hopefully those changes are for the better when it comes down to it. But, all you can do is just take it, learn your lessons from it, and continue to try and grow as a player, as a coach, and as an organization.
When you think about some of those lessons that you learned last season, whether it's personal or from a team perspective as well, what are some of those that come to mind about that you're going to take into this off-season and into the next season as well?
Definitely just a mindset of just relentlessness, just not taking no for an answer when it comes down to the way that you play, the way that I step on that field, and just at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you just have to enjoy the ride. 6 years in the NFL, I'm extremely blessed, and I can't complain. But also on the other end of that, it's to control what you can control. And I've learned that heavily this season, to just control what I can control, and I'll just continue to live that type of lifestyle. And I know that, God's plan is greater than any adversity that I can go through.
Talk to me a bit about these changes that have come in this offseason, how excited you are to get back into the building. A new GM, a new offensive coordinator, and a new head coach in Pete Carrol. Tell us a bit about how excited you are to work with Pete. Seems, his previous experience in Seattle with the Seahawks and what he managed to get out of those guys. So many people talk about him so fondly. So how excited are you to play for him and him to be your head coach going forward?
Well, I'm hoping that's the case for me. I'm coming off a one-year deal, so hopefully we can make that more. But he's definitely one of those guys that, you would love to play for. His rap sheet and, of course, what he's done in Seattle. But I'm a Southern California kid, so I know even his time at USC is something admirable for me. So a great coach like that knows how to win, that knows what he's doing, that knows how to create a winning culture. You can't go wrong with that. So I know it's going to be an exciting time in the building when everything is said and done. I know that they're still building, of course. Once there's that staff change and everything, you have to get everyone acclimated. Then you go through the draft process, and then, bam, you hit the ground running. So, I know it's going to be an exciting time.
You spoke there about coming off the back of a one-year deal, future now, seemingly whether it's with the Raiders or not. Have you had any conversations yet, or how do you plan on going about those conversations well, and where you might end up going forward?
I have to have a conversation with my agent. I
won't pry too much.
No, I just can't have any conversations.
Of course.
I don't even think that we're allowed to get into that period of negotiations or anything until the end of the start of the new league year, which will be like that second week of March.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you then, being a player who then is approaching, say, free agency, how uncertain a time is that? You said you spent 6 years in the NFL. How do you deal with that as a player in terms of moving forward, wanting to find out where you're going to play, and then, like you said, bringing that relentless energy into wherever you go? How is that period of time? Is it stressful on you and
Yes.
the family as well? What is that like?
It is definitely stressful, but like I said before, God's plan is greater than any adversity. So all I do is just trust in that to help ease the stress. But it is stressful because, you know, it's a coin toss. It's up in the air on whether a team that you might think is a good fit for you, whether they're even interested in you. And then on top of that, are they able to bring you on? Do they have plans to draft someone? And so there's a bunch of different things that go through your mind of like what situation is best for you and what decision a team might make that was interested in you. You know, they might go sign someone else and you thought, you know, you were leaning towards signing there, and at the end of the day, you know, they have to explore their options, and maybe someone else, you know, took the option before you, whatever the case may be. There's just a bunch that goes into how things can play out in free agency, and it's a crazy time. And I wouldn't wish that stress on anybody, but it's beautiful at the end of the day when you know that, you know, you have a job opportunity somewhere, you just don't know where it's going to be.
Well, let me ask you then, in terms of then looking towards your future and where you're at right now, the running back market has always been a theme of conversation around the NFL, especially this year. We've seen, you know, the performances of Derrick Henry in Baltimore, Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia. When you look at, say, those two guys, Josh Jacobs in Green Bay as well, when you look at, say, those three guys who have almost had the running back market more respected, would you say, in terms of their performances, where do you think the running back market is right now?
I think we're on an upward trend, a very, very affluent upward trend. I would say that it's kind of one of those things where it was like the running back market, the running back position is so devalued, and it was kind of just happened so quickly. And I think it's snapped back into reality very quickly. I'm not sure that the owners and everyone else believes the same. I hope so, though. But I would say to the general public, to players, we see it. You know, we see that the value of the running back had been devalued for the past maybe 2 seasons, I would say, and extremely devalued, I would say, actually, because it went from, you know, a high-value position where, you know, I'm in the backfield with a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's gone 4 Pro Bowls in a row, 4,000-yard seasons in a row. And so for me, and when I look at that and a guy of that caliber, that's still that caliber of a player, but the way that the market has just been devalued, you know, he's too expensive for us to pay. He's too expensive for someone to pick up. He's too, like, there's just one of those things where it's like, whoa, like, since when was a guy too expensive to make your team better? And now that you're seeing these running backs underpaid and undervalued, bringing that to a team and carrying teams to opportunities to play for the Super Bowl, I think for me, in my head, that's got to be a snapped into reality that, okay, we messed up by devaluing this position, and going forward, we need to make sure that we put some respect there. And I would hope that that's what it seems like up top, but I know that, you know, from a player standpoint, the coaches, from my understanding as well, also respect running backs. I think that it is back, and I hope so. I hope that this is the stamp. You know, I'll say right now, I'm rooting for Saquon to go get the MVP, and yeah, make the running backs great again.
Well, I finally just wanted to ask you about Saquon and what we've seen. You mentioned there running backs carrying offenses this season. In terms of Saquon's performances, been absolutely phenomenal to watch and what he's brought to Philadelphia. When you look at this game this weekend, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are chasing a three-peat, Saquon could easily be the difference maker in this game. How impressed have you been with his performances and what he's offered Philadelphia this year?
Oh, he's it's unreal. It's video game-like. It really is, and I'm just super proud to see it happening for a running back. I'm super proud to see it happening for a guy like him who's been through some adversity, who's had his fair share of the short end of the stick throughout his career. And it's just a beautiful story that's written, and what better ending than to go get the MVP and to stamp running backs back on the market and back in style. Yeah, it's been a great season for running backs. It's been a great season for Saquon, and I think that he has a chance to really put the icing on the cake.
Well, we can't wait to see how it plays out on Sunday. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us on talkSPORT. Wishing you all the best for the months to come, and hope to see you wherever it may be in September ahead of the new season as well. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Really a pleasure.
Yes, sir.